God answers prayers, doesn't he? I asked you guys to pray for another hurricane, and Grace has appeared. Tropical storm Grace is out there. I mean, you guys pray and God delivers. It's amazing. To name a tropical storm Grace, wow, that's bold. You know, that's hopeful. And I'm down with it. I understand it. Hopefully it won't do any damage. That's a theological discussion, isn't it? A hurricane named Grace. We'll talk about that over donuts later. Hurricane named Grace. One of the things we've learned this year in our theme of healing songs is that we're continuously healing, that the healing is never over. And we're never done. That they'll tell you that at AA. Someone who's been part of Alcoholics Anonymous or one of these groups will say, I'm an alcoholic, even if they've been sober for 15 years. Their behavior doesn't show that they're an alcoholic, but they continue to say that. And the reason they say that is to keep this perspective, to keep just this truth in mind that we've learned this year, that healing is continual. We're never done healing. We continually need God's healing. We need God's grace to blow through us, to send the waves through us. I read, in trying to understand healing for this year, I read Keith Miller's Hunger for Healing. And what he did is he had been through AA, and so he took the 12 steps and explained them. And he said, for me, what I realized was that it wasn't just alcohol that I needed healing from. I needed healing from my sin disease. And that's one of the things that works about AA is it's not just about stopping the addictive behavior. It's about exploring yourself and finding out what's driving it. And for him, and he said, in the introduction, he said, you can walk through this book with me, and we're going to walk through the 12 steps and address it for yourself. Not that you may or may not have some kind of addiction, but you have a sin disease. And so that's helpful for all of us. It's a good perspective for all of us. Jesus has saved us from our sins, but we are still sinaholics, aren't we? That's the perspective. We will be for the rest of our lives be sinaholics. We always have to stand up and say, my name is Josh and I'm a sinaholic, and I need Jesus every single day to heal me. And the good news is, he does. He does. Grace shows up. Grace blows in. I'm going to wear this one out, all right? I mean, this hurricane better turn into something here. I'll tell you what. I need some illustrations for next week here. I need some fulfillment. But every day he does show up, and we do experience the healing, and that's the miracle, and that's what they look for in AA, and that's what they find in anyone that is in that process of healing, and is not participating in the addictive behavior, knows that God has done this for me. It's been a miracle. Chicago has a healing song, "Feeling Stronger Every Day." You know that song? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a good one. I like that song. I'm not a huge Chicago guy, but what's that? Keep playing those drums. Stay away from that microphone. I've seen some drummers that can sing, though, those are the exceptions to the rule. Yeah, just keep. I'll just do that instead. Yeah, it's they call the process in church speak is called sanctification. All right, it's and it is. We let's get in touch with our old timey. Greg Greg went to Asbury in Kentucky. I went to Asbury in Orlando. There was still some of that Kentucky there. We are Holiness Church. Yeah, yeah. No, we're to take this path of sanctification. It's healing. It's healing from our sin. We're sinaholics, and we need to be healed and saved from it. And every day we have to go through it, and that's what we're going to do. You know, it's like the opposite of our physical bodies, that over time they get less healthy. It's the reverse. Over time, over all this time that we spend, if we spend every day with Jesus and we mature in Christ and we go on this sanctification journey, then we find that we get healthier as time goes by. And this is Paul's teaching for us today. This is Ephesians 5:8. For you were once darkness. You were once. There's no ends here. You were not once in darkness. You were once darkness. But now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. Jesus has shined on you. You've had an experience of Jesus shining on you. That was my call to ministry. You guys know my story about the divided sky. I looked up in the sky in the strangest of circumstances in a car with a bunch of guys going to a football game. And there was darkness and there was light, and God said, choose. Which one? Which one? You can't have both in your life. You've got to choose one. You've reached that age. It's time to choose. And I said, I'll choose light. You've got to help me now. And he has. Not to perfection, of course, but I've been on the sanctification healing journey ever since. And that was Paul's experience. Paul was knocked off his horse, surrounded by a light that descended from heaven. And he was blinded by that light, and he said to the light, "Who are you, Lord? Who are you, Lord?" And the light said, "I'm Jesus." Jesus has shined on us, and he can transform us by that light. And therefore, because he has shined on us, because he has taken us from darkness to light, because his light has come in, then we should walk as children of light. We should live that. And that's our daily struggle as sinaholics, is to walk that walk every day. It's a struggle for me. It was a struggle for Paul. It's a struggle for you. That's our struggle. And at AA, the successful ones, they'll arm themselves. The successful ones are on their knees every morning saying, "Jesus, I need your healing." Or God, or who, they've opened that up, and that's okay, because I think eventually people find where the true power comes from. I need your healing, God. I need you today. I can't make it without you. So you get up and you get on your knees. And then you have a mentor. You have someone that's ahead of you in this process that you can follow, that can give you advice. You have a group that supports you, that you can share with, that prays for you. These are all excellent tools. We should use them for our walk as well. Now, all this stuff was, the creators of the 12-step were Christian folks, and it's all biblical principles going to work. And always keeping in mind that important perspective that without God's power, without the wind of grace, we're going nowhere. There's no waves, can't sail. God's got to do this. God's got to heal us. We can't do it on our own. This is Ephesians 5:9. For the fruit of light is in all goodness, righteousness, and truth. So fruit. So Paul says, here's what walking in the he challenges, he tells us, it's imperative. He says, walk as children of the light. Jesus has shined on you. Now walk. And then he says, now the fruit of light are these things. And so he's saying the evidence of walking in the light are these things, the fruit. And so fruit doesn't just happen immediately. We can't just produce fruit. Can we, Don? It's got to happen. You got to wait for the trees to do it. You look out And if you daily look at the trees, there isn't a whole lot of change. You don't notice. It's a slow, natural process. The fruit comes in its season, and we have to wait for it. But it comes, and it's evidence that we are that we're walking as children of light. You know, a lot of times we look for, the world's always looking for fast results, and so we do the same. We're used to that, so we do the same. And so we're looking for that fruit immediately, and we can get discouraged. And so we have to realize that this is an organic God. How does God work? Well, go outside and look at nature, and you see how he works. A chicken only lays 1 egg a day. We can't be like, this is, the fruit comes in its season. Trees grow slowly. We can't, we barely notice. But that's the way he works, so that's the way he's going to work in us, of course. It's going to take some time. We have to be patient. And, we can think we're not progressing. In fact, we can start feeling guilty, and then we can think we're descending. And that's sin is so clever that way, isn't it? It always wants us to think we're not doing very well. It wants us to feel defeated. And so we have to be aware of that. We have to be patient with ourselves and each other and know that this is going to take a while. And so the fruit are the recognizable signs, and Paul, as opposed to the 9 fruit of the Spirit, there's 3 fruit of light that he chooses to put here. And so it's important to notice and think about what these fruit are, these 3 fruit, the fruit of walking in the light, the fruit of taking that sanctification path, the fruit of taking that healing from sin. And then we notice, and this is the evidence. And the first thing is goodness. Goodness. What's goodness? Goodness is the opposite of badness. That's pretty profound, isn't it? We understand goodness because we watch movies. And most movies are good versus bad. Especially the epic movies, it's good versus bad. And so C.S. Lewis says it's evidence of the fact that God is real, that we're not just randomly came out of a soup of bacteria or whatever because we inherently know, and you see children, we see this at Monarch too, we inherently know what's right. We know right. We know the good. We can watch the movies and we cheer for the good. We want the good to come through. We know the bad. Over time, the characters in the movie show themselves. They demonstrate to either be good or bad. And we cheer for the good. So we know what good is. Deep down, that's a gift God has given us. That's being created in the image of God. Marred as that image we have marred it because of our sin. It's still there. And we still, deep down, we want the good. We know the good. And that's what goodness is. And we're not superheroes going out and attacking any badness in our lives necessarily, unless God calls you to do that, Marielle. You never know what he's going to want you to do. But what happens is in certain times there's certain circumstances that put us in a situation where our character is going to show. We go into the furnace a little bit. And we get tested. What's our true character? And at that time, it becomes clear that we're good. That fruit of goodness rings true and is proven. And then there's righteousness, and righteousness is following the rules. That's part of it. Righteousness, a lot of times in the Old Testament was understood to be following the Old Testament law. So following the rules for us is to follow Jesus in his teaching. But it's more than that, righteousness. I mean, we could, as much time as we can, maybe they'll call the next tropical storm righteousness, and then we'll get to discuss what that is, There's a lot there. But it's being just. Righteousness and justice is actually the same word in the Old Testament. And so it's being just, it's considering other people. It's always thinking, okay, what's not only best for me, but best for this other people in the community and the whole thing. It's the win-win that you're always looking for, not just for your selfish greed. That's what righteousness is being just. It's not letting our desires, our insatiable desires, run over the environment, third world nations, blah, 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 blah. That's what righteousness is. It's being just. So there's opportunities, and there's small and large opportunities for us where we can do the right thing. Isn't there? In small ways. I mean, God says if you prove true in small ways, then you can be more responsible. I'll give you larger things to do. There's opportunities to do the right thing, and that's fruit. That's the fruit of goodness or of righteousness. And then there's truth, authenticity, honesty. It has the meaning of being reliable, stability, stable. The truth never changes. You know the truth. It's allowing that light to walk as children of the light. We can't have any darkness. That's what God told me. He said, okay, this is your life. Half of it's clear blue sky, but half of it's dark. You've only given me about half. I don't operate that way. I need the whole thing. We need to open our hearts completely and our lives completely to the light of Christ. That's truth. And there's, our society is so devoid of truth. We're so knee deep in BS, and we're buying it. And we're so used to it that there is almost every interaction with anybody is an opportunity for truth, is an opportunity for that fruit to show. We can show so much fruit. There's so many opportunities for fruit, to be honest, to be real, to speak the truth, to not buy in to whatever, but to come back to that rock solid, stable, unchanging truth that we know, that's based in God's word. There's so many opportunities to show that fruit. We live in a fake, we live surrounded by fakiness. That was one of my turn-offs with the corporate culture, was that it was like this, basically this professionalism is an excuse to not be your real self. And it's this, suit you put on so that you don't have to be authentic, so that you don't have to be honest, so you don't have to you don't have to really care for this person. You can continue, you can do things that aren't righteous, that aren't true, that aren't good, and feel okay because you've got your professionalism on. So as a community, and I'm not saying every corporate situation's that way, of course. There's Lyle Nelsons out there. As a community, we need to look for the fruit in each other. We need to be good neighbors. A good neighbor says, boy, you got some great grapefruit going over there. You mind if I take the pole over the back of the fence? But you notice fruit in each other. You're looking for, because often we're kind of blind to ourselves. That sin always, even if we're doing really well, always wants to make us feel defeated. And so we need to encourage each other. We need to say to each other, this is really our business as a church. One of our very important pieces of business is to say, I see this fruit. Look at you. Look at. I see the fruit of goodness. That was good. That was a good thing. That was really honest. That was the right thing to do. I see the fruit in you. You're walking as a child of light. We need to do that. We need the encouragement, don't we? And then on verse 10, this is all one sentence about walking in the light. Then he says, finding out what is acceptable to the Lord, and this could be translated seeking what pleases God. And that's this is a really fine point, very, very important point here with Paul. Because it's not just about producing fruit. It's not just about, we're not children of light so that we can produce this fruit. So that, the fruit is a sign that we're living to please the Lord. It's a symptom. I was looking for a positive word of symptom or a byproduct. It's something that comes out of living to please the Lord. Because sometimes people can be, and it's good, all good and well if they're working on these fruits, or you see these fruits in them, and that's wonderful, and we want to encourage that as well. When they're did the right thing, they were honest, they were good, but a lot of times people are doing that out of their own pride, self-righteousness, wanting to be better than, or saying I hold myself to a higher standard than other people, or they're doing it because there's others' expectations, or they want to keep up this certain, they want people to think of them as in this certain way. That's not the motivation for us. God's not saying, I want you to produce this fruit. God's saying, I'm your daddy. Let's have fun. Let's have a joyful life together. Do what pleases me. It is a servant's heart to say, all I'm doing is working to please the Lord. And then what happens is the fruit comes from that. The fruit just falls off. There's that one picture of Jesus knocking on the door of our heart that's in St. Paul's Cathedral in England. And there's fruit that has just fallen off of Jesus on his way as he's walking. It's just falling off of him. Apples hitting the ground and stuff. That's the way it works. He said, it was very clear in John, I'm here because the Father sent me, and I just do whatever he tells me to do. That's it. And therefore fruits, everybody's following Jesus, picking up apples. That's the way it works. My kids, when my kids do something for me, it's Father's Day or it's Christmas, and Mary Reed's gotten a little older, so she's kind of wised up to this, but Noah's still at that age, and you remember this, where Noah will take like 4 pieces of his broken toys and glue or tape them together, and then color it, and then write Seminoles on it, and that will be my Father's Day present or something, and and the fruit, the actual gift is it's fit for the trash can, but for me, as a father, I see that it's my joy to see that it's their joy to please me, that's what really matters, is they in their heart wanted to give something to me. They wanted to please me. They wanted, and they had joy in it. See, they didn't do it out of obligation. They did it because they wanted to. Those broken pieces of toys, those weren't easy things to give up. But they want to give it, and I see the joy. That's what that means. We're not here. We're not just some. We're not chickens in the coop just to produce eggs. We're free-range chickens, guys. We can have joy, and that's what God wants. He's saying, I know what's best for you. I know you more than you know yourself. I know I can give you joy, and I can give you love. So look to see what pleases me. That's what we're doing. And the fruit just comes off. And so that's Paul's teaching on dealing with the light side, and now he comes over to dealing with the dark side. And this is 11 and 12. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them, for it is shameful even to speak of those things which are done by them in secret. As children of light, we can't take part in darkness. what's going on with darkness. We just can't talk. It's, the successful addict, someone who's at AA and been sober for a while, says, I can't go have a casual drink. I can't do it. Some people can, but I can't. Because they realize who they are and what they've gone through in the healing that they're transformed, that God has transformed them. So they can't do it. We need to realize, they say, some people can do this, but I'm not some people. And that's what we need to say to ourselves. Some people can do certain things, but I'm not some people. God has shined on me, and I'm light, and I am to walk as a child of light. And I'm not. I've kind of realized it's not judging others necessarily. It's judging whether the behavior is good for me. I'm not judging you. You do what you guys, not you as the church, but you as anybody else in the world. As long as you're not hurting anybody, that's it's kind of our attitude towards each other. Don't judge. I don't want to judge, but I will judge if it's something I want to take part in. I'm going to judge it for me. Actually, even better yet, I'm going to have God judge it. And he's going to be the judge of all things for me. So I'm going to let God say, is this worthy? Is this something I need to take part in or not? And being a pastor in the neighborhood that I grew up in is, it's a little bit bizarre. Here I am, I drive down the roads in College Park, and sometimes I'll even go over to house, and I've been to this house before, and that was in my prior life, and it would have been probably easier to move to Kansas, a new life in a new place, but Kansas doesn't have any waves, so that's just not a possibility. And I wouldn't have you guys, I can't do that. That wouldn't have been right. Thank God. When I used to go to camp, we'd drive these country roads, and there'd be these podunk little churches, and I'd just be like, thank you, Jesus, please, for not calling me to that. Thank you. And I'll do whatever he wants. But and the challenge for me has been, I have a lot of old friends. I mean, you guys know some of my friends. I don't want to just end those relationships. And it's gotten easier, but it was particularly hard when I first really wanted to, I first started taking that path, where I want to be friends, but I can't do the same stuff with you that I used to do. So I've had to kind of try to figure that out, and not seem judgmental or holier than or self-righteous. So that's the challenge, to figure out how to do that, how to keep those relationships, but also know that I have a new life. And I've told this to Murray in certain circumstances where socially you get dragged into something, and I'm standing there and I'm like, Murray, I need to leave because I'm standing in my old life right now, and it's uncomfortable for me. I don't like it. I have a new life, and I'm not gonna, just don't need to, be in this. And so she's understood that and supported me in that. And but I don't want to lose those old relationships, and so what I have found, one secret is, I can be a friend when no one else is, when they really need a friend. That's a lot of times when you've met my friends, is they've come in here, as OCC is, for healing when they were going through a tough time. That's when I can be a friend. And that's when I can expose them to light. It says expose them here. It's, don't have fellowship, don't take part in it, but rather expose them. And that does not mean judge. Expose means to light, to open up the light to come in. So how do I do that? I don't judge them. Then I've lost the friendship, right? I expose them to light. How do I expose them to light? I be light. and I be with them when I can. And then Paul continues, this is 13, but everything exposed by the light becomes visible, for it is light that makes everything visible. This is why it is said, wake up, O sleeper, rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. Here's the song. This is why we're in Ephesians, by the way, is because there's this song right here, and this is a song. Wake up, O sleeper, rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. It's and Paul says that's why it's said, but we're in the healing songs thing, so I'm turning this stuff into songs. That's why it's saying. That's why we have this. This is either a saying or a part of a song, or when I quote somebody, when I says Mick Jagger said, he actually sang it. It's Chicago said feeling stronger every day. No, they sang it. It was part of their song. So I think this is probably part of a song of the early church, or a saying, or something that they would say to each other. It's pretty good. Wake up, O sleeper, rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. Rise and shine. Rise and shine. We need to say that to ourselves in the morning, don't we? Rise and shine, child of God. Walk in the light today. Jesus, help me walk in the light today. Rise and shine. Rise and shine to those who are coming out of the darkness, who Jesus says, shine a light. Rise and shine. You are light. Walk as children of light. And then I found this awesome song in Isaiah that I want to share with you. It's Isaiah 60, and this is where possibly that New Testament song came from. Isaiah 60, 1 through 5. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. See, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness is over the peoples. But the Lord rises upon you, and his glory appears over you. Nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn. Lift up your eyes and look about you. All assemble and come to you. Your sons come from afar, and your daughters are carried on the arm. Then you will look and be radiant. Your heart will throb and swell with joy. And then 18 through 21. No longer will violence be heard in your land, no ruin or destruction within your borders. But you will call your walls salvation, and your gates praise, and your hurricanes grace. The sun will no more be your light by day, nor will the brightness of the moon shine on you, for the Lord will be your everlasting light, and your God will be your glory. Your sun will never set again, and your moon will wane no more. The Lord will be your everlasting light, and your days of sorrow will end. Then will all your people be righteous, and they will possess the land forever. They are the shoot I have planted, the work of my hands, for the display of my splendor.